Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the E-Zone by D'Antonio podcast. My name is Mike. Today we're going to go over the Spartans' 80-64 loss to the Ohio State Buckeyes and what happened in this game. I thought Michigan State. I thought this would be a tough game for them. Coming off a huge win over Maryland, and by 30, I thought going on the road, it's always a tough crowd in Columbus. And they didn't really play very well in this game at all. And Ohio State really played their best game of the season, no doubt about it, by them. And I think it really started on the defensive end. And the defensive intensity Ohio State was showing in this game um, was was matching Michigan State's. And not only matching it, it was a lot better than Michigan State in this game. What it really looked like, it looked like Michigan State against Maryland the other night. The way Ohio State was defending Michigan State. Um, Chris Holtmann coming from Butler. He always had his Butler teams really playing great defense, and again they played great defense today against a great offensive team. They held them to 64 points, which is good for Ohio State. But really, they were getting Michigan State off balance on offense, forcing them to shoot hard jump shots. And I really do think Michigan State got away from their bread and butter, and that is inside out, getting the ball inside, really, and collapse the defense outside, getting open threes. They were really an outside in offense in this game, and that is not the way they're going to win games. And if you're an outside in team, you better be shooting the three well. You're going to lose. And in this game, they did not shoot the three well at all, and they lost. Ohio State, on the other hand, was an inside out team. They were getting great post play with Wesson and Keita Bates-Diop, who had a monster game. But let's go over some of the stats for Michigan State, and we'll start with the starters. Cassius Winston had 12 points, 6 assists, 3 rebounds, and no steals. But, I thought he had an okay game. His three-point shooting percentage starting to go down a bit. He was 2 for 6 from 3 in this game, 4 for 10 from the field. But really, the biggest thing that really jumps out on you is Nick Ward's play. He was 0 for 1 from the field, and he was 3 for 4 from the line. And the one thing that has stopped Nick Ward this year is double teams. We saw that against Rutgers. Rutgers double teamed him, and it really got him off his game. And Ohio State double teamed him, and he turned it over a couple times. And Nick Ward's got to have bigger games than that. And if he's not having these types of games, other guys have to step up, like Josh Langford, who had a nice game. He went 6 for 11. He got 17 points, tied with Miles Bridges for the most on the team. And speaking of Miles Bridges did not have a great game for his standards. He went 7 for 19 from the field, 17 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists. We saw what he did against Maryland the other night. He had a great game against Maryland. That 20 rebound game against Savannah State. This game he only got 7 rebounds, but really the whole team was not playing well. And probably another big thing that jumps out at you is Michigan State's bench had a combined 4 points, 2 from Nairn, 2 from Gavin Schilling at the end. This cannot happen. Okay, it really can't happen. When you're playing a team like Ohio State doesn't have the best depth. Their starting lineup is very good, but once you get to their bench, they're vulnerable. Your bench has to outplay Ohio State's bench, and people were talking the entire week about the top 5 players in Michigan State's bench, would they be a top 25 team on their own? And the way they play today, no, not at all. McQuaid didn't play well. He was 0 for 4 from the field, 0 for 2 from 3, 0 for 1 from the line. Not very good in this game at all. Kenny Goings wasn't good in this game at all either. Tillman only got 3 minutes. He didn't do anything in those 3 minutes. And really, the field goal percentage really jumps out at you, and it shows you how great Ohio State was doing on defense. They shot 39% from the field, which is by far one of the worst performances they've had all season long. If you look at Ohio State, their offense was carried by the starting 5. C.J. Jackson, 14 points. Keita Bates-Diop, 32 points. Wesson had 8 points. Williams had 10 points. And this starting five is very good. Tate had 13 points as well. But you got to stop Keita Bates-Diop. And I do think that Jaren Jackson was having trouble with the senior a lot in this game. Keita Bates-Diop was doing whatever he wanted to do most of the game. Keita Bates-Diop's a great player. He's one of the best players in the Big Ten, if not the best player in the Big Ten. Him and Miles Bridges, and he outplayed Miles Bridges big time in this game. So it's probably Keita Bates-Diop right now. But man, they shot the ball really well. 52%, 47% from three. It was impressive to watch. It was also maddening to watch too. Watch just where did Michigan State's defensive intensity go? Where is this Izzo defense? I didn't see it in this game. Okay, Ohio State, it just seemed like Ohio State was spreading out Michigan State, getting whatever they want on the post, getting easy baskets, wide open threes. And I'm sure this will be addressed by Coach Izzo, but really, it was not a good performance from the defense in this game. The defense took a huge step back from that Maryland win. And really, the offense took a huge step back too. This was a bad game for everybody, not just the defense, the offense, everybody. And this brings me to one worry I do have about Michigan State. It's they have struggled in their two road games so far this season. At Rutgers, they won that by 10 points. And Rutgers is not a very good team, and at a very good Ohio State team. So my worry is, are they going to play well away from the Breslin Center? And that does worry me a bit, because you saw they are a completely different team when they're home. They're making shots when they're home. And we saw that against Notre Dame. We saw that against Maryland. They're making shots all day long. But once they go away, I know they struggled shooting against Rutgers. And, it does worry me. But luckily, they do have Michigan at home, and they have Purdue at home. So Michigan's probably the fourth best team in the conference. Purdue's probably the second best team in the conference, or maybe the first, the way Michigan State's playing right now. So you get those two teams at home. That's a big upside for you. Get those wins. But this loss was not good at all, and it really speaks to what this team really is. It's a young team, okay, and I think they got a little complacent. They let that number one ranking go to their head, I think, and I didn't think they were ready to play. I didn't think. I thought they probably thought that they would go into Ohio State and probably get an easy win, or maybe they knew they didn't know how good the crowd there was, and their crowd was hyped up the whole game. They were going all game long, and Michigan State just wasn't ready for it, which is unfortunate. This is bulletin material for Coach Izzo, though. No, and remember, even when Michigan State was beating these teams by 50, Coach Izzo was always saying, we got to get better. We got to get better. We got to get better. And really, that showed up today. The defensive intensity was not there. The offense struggled throughout the whole game. And they were an outside-in team this entire game. Right? When they went in the post with Jaren Jackson at the end of the game, they went to the post with Miles Bridges, went to the post with Schilling and Tillman. Tillman, not so much. Nick Ward, not really, but when you go in the post with these guys, especially Jaren Jackson in this game, it was successful. So I don't know why they didn't go back to it. They played more of a perimeter game, which is not what is going to get you victories. Then on the defensive side, Keita Bates-Diop scoring 32 points on your defense is not good. It's not good at all. And we saw what they did against Bonzie Colson. So I know that this team can defend guys like Keita Bates-Diop. But on the other hand, Keita Bates-Diop is a great player, and he had a career night, 32 points. And he is a great player. He really is. But Ohio State is, I think they're a good team. Definitely a tournament team. And that was a big win for them. They've now beaten us in football and basketball, really crushed us. So congratulations to them. Congratulations to the state of Ohio, as they beat the state of Michigan in every sport, it seems like. Both Michigan and Michigan State. I think they're going to be ready against Rutgers this week and next Saturday. I think they'll be ready against Michigan. Whereas Michigan is probably the biggest game of the year for them, rivalry wise. Notre Dame's a big rival too. But when you get Michigan at home, always know you have a chance to win that game. And I think they'll win that game pretty handily. I think when they play at home, they're a completely different team. I do worry about when they go on the road. I do worry about that, especially if they're a top 5 team. You're gonna get the other team's best game every time you play them because you've got that number next to your name. And you know, maybe if Arizona State loses, you don't fall too far in the rankings. I know they were losing at the half to Utah, so that would make another top 3 team losing. I know Duke lost. Butler or not Butler, excuse me, Xavier lost. So you know, all these top tier teams losing, and they're losing on the road because road games in college basketball are always losable, and we saw that today. Ohio State got hot from the field, and the defensive intensity wasn't there. I thought Miles Bridges was forcing up some shots early in the game. He only went 2 for 8 from three, and but the really most disturbing stat here was Nick Ward and the bench. The bench only had 4 points in this game, and the bench needs to do better than that. Matt McQuaid needs to do better than he did in this game. Tom Tum did all right. He did have 3 assists, and another number was the assists. And Michigan State leads the nation in assists at 21 per game. They only got 13 in this game. And I remember at halftime, I'm pretty sure they had 7 assists. And they had 30 assists on 32 made baskets against Maryland. Again, it starts with driving the ball and kicking out, starting in the post. I just did not think, maybe the crowd got to them, but they just did not play well. So, you know, it was not a good win. It was not a good game for Michigan State, but I think they'll be fine. Um, I think this is a wake up call for them, no doubt about it. So that is my thoughts on this game. I'll probably have a normal podcast on Wednesday talking about some other stuff, maybe a little bit of football, maybe not. Still haven't decided on that, but again, this is a wake up call. Wake up call, humbling performance by Ohio State. Obviously this team is not as good as we thought they were. And it's still a young team, you got to remember. Tom Tom and Ben Carter and Gavin Schilling are seniors, but they all come off the bench. You're starting 5. You got what do you got? 4 sophomores and a freshman. So your team's still young. Ohio State, they've got Keita Bates-Diop, a senior, I believe. Pretty sure he's a senior. So when you go on road games, you have to have your A game every game. Doesn't matter if you're at Illinois, if you're at DePaul, it doesn't matter. You have to have your A game because you're going to get the other team's best performance, especially with that number on your next to your name. So, thank you everybody for watching. Once again, it was unfortunate the way they played, but stuff like this happens. So every good team loses on the road. Duke lost to NC State. They lost to Boston College on the road, but a humbling performance. And there's no doubts that they need to get better. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.